Welcome to Spill the Real podcast, the Margarita Book Club for women in their 40s navigating midlife, motherhood, marriage, and that nagging feeling that you should have life figured out by now but don't.
We're two 40-something moms of teenagers, married for years, probably in perimenopause, and still trying to lose the same 20 pounds we've been fighting for a decade.
This isn't about having all of the answers. It's about spilling the real conversations as we wish someone had with us sooner.
So grab a margarita or a coffee, and let's spill the real.
Welcome back to Spill the Real podcast. Our title today is We Survived the 90s, Now We're the Parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited and going to go down memory lane of all the things that we loved about the 90s, like the trends then versus the trends now. And so I have a feeling like if my kids were listening to this podcast, they would just like laugh hysterically and think that we're idiots.
Yeah.
Good thing that, my kids don't listen to podcasts, but
especially not ours.
So before we get in, we always love to dive into the real talk. So we have a real talk question, and that is, Christy, I'm going to throw it to you today to kick us off. What's the craziest thing you did as a kid that you wouldn't let your kids do now?
Ride in the back of a pickup truck down the highway.
Oh, I did that so many times.
I mean, 60 miles per hour in the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, seatbelts weren't a law back then, so it didn't matter.
I know.
You could ride on the hood if you wanted to. But, yeah, I mean, like we would just...
Do you think that was just a Kentucky thing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure when people riding around New York City in the back of a pickup truck, I'm sure that was a backcountry kind of thing. But I mean, and I'm not just talking about on the farm. Like, you're not just riding on a farm, like going down the highway to Owensboro sometimes. Like, and that's, for us, that was like 20, 25 minutes away, going 60 miles per hour, curves and hills. And yeah, I don't know how we survived.
I don't either.
I really don't. There's so many, and like not wearing a seatbelt in a car.
Right.
I mean, my parents promoted the seatbelt, but yeah, so there's no way.
Oh, there's absolutely no way. Well, and it's funny that you say that because we go to Rough River. So as a kid, we had the lake house then. As a kid, we would like load up the boat, and it was like a fun thing to do. You'd get in the back of the boat, and like you would ride in the boat over to the dock, like to dock it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never let my kids do that now.
No.
Never.
I don't know if that was sometimes, I don't know. I want to be like, Mom, Dad, like, I don't.
How did that survive?
Yeah, because that's not like something like, oh, well, we had better this or we had better cars now, so that wouldn't happen. I don't, like, it just said, who cares, I guess. You fall out.
Well, so I know this is going to sound almost probably, for me, mine goes back to being almost probably a helicopter mom. A little bit, but, I guess because I know what I did. So, like, I'm very protective of that. But, I mean, it turned out okay.
I know, yeah.
But I would not let my kids go to another person's house, like a friend's house or something, if I didn't make contact with that parent. I went, my mom wouldn't even know, like my mom and dad wouldn't even know who they were, don't know who their parents were. I would just go and be like, hey, I'm going to so-and-so's house or whatever. I don't know that I would, and maybe as they get older, I won't really know because they're driving and you're in that probably experience now.
But then they can leave when they want, like, I feel like there's a difference when they're driving, because then if something is not right, they can get in the car and leave.
Yes.
But no, I know, same.
Yeah, and so, like, I guess now that my kid, like, when I was younger, maybe my mom knew, but, like, I knew their parents, but never really understood, like, what, and I remember, man, there was some trauma that really took place in reference to when I was a kid going to, like, friends' houses.
Yes.
And that my parents would have no clue.
Right.
So, yeah, so now, I guess because of that, I would never let my younger kids go to a house that I didn't know if I wasn't making contact with their family or understanding who they are
Right.
and those type of things.
Getting the lowdown from like other parents,
Yes,
like
yes.
making sure, yeah.
Which is funny because if the roles were reversed, a lot of times my kids now, when like kids are coming over, like in real time, my kid is having a sleepover and their moms are like texting like, is this legit?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's legit, and giving them. But I am like in our hometown, I run a nonprofit, so everybody really knows me about, I run puzzle pieces, and so
Right.
there's a sense of level of trust
Yeah.
that, oh well, she's good. I'm like, I don't like that pressure. So like they sometimes they don't check in, or like my kids actually use that as an
Oh yeah, my mom.
advantage.
Yeah,
Like,
my mom.
like, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, I don't like that. But I mean, it's good.
They think their kids are come over here and you're going to have them volunteering and working out in the community.
Yeah, that's not the case. I get to be mom and Amanda at home,
yes,
right?
Yes, and that is great. Well, I feel like with that too, that has been a shift in, and I don't know if it's because we hear more about the bad things that happen with all the documentaries and all of that, or I just feel like everybody was more trusting back then. And not to say that bad things weren't happening, but I don't, I feel like that shift is different, like, than just every day. Like, I'm not letting my kid ride in the back of a truck, because, but like we're no seat, like there's no difference, now. So I don't know, is that like a shift in society where, like, if your mom, I would be curious to know if your mom was raising you right now in this day and age, would that still be the same, or would she be more like you?
Well, here's the thing about my mom right now. My mom has discovered Life 360. And she tracks me, and I am 42 years old. And she'll call me and she'll say, "Why are you not at work today?" I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like, "Mom, do you mirror like the Life 360
just
on the TV and just watch my
like
every
a security
move?"
camera, yeah.
And she's like, "I just want to know what you're doing." Or like if we're traveling,
Yeah.
she'd be like, "I saw you stop at a gas station. What are y'all doing? Like,
y'all safe?
Y'all making a good time? Like, what's happening?" So I know my mom would have used every tool now that I see what she does with Life 360.
Yes.
As I'm 42 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe I'm a little bit more like my mom than what I thought.
I have a feeling we find that out a little bit more the older we get. Yeah.
So let's get right into diving to the episode today, and that is we survived in the backseat of not the backseat, but in the back of a truck. We survived not having a cell phone and having to sit at home and have call waiting. We survived the commercials, in our favorite
commercial break,
TV shows. We survived the yard not the yard parties, the
field parties.
Yep. I barely survived, but I survived. So we survived all of that, and now we are the parents trying to raise teenagers and kids in this new era.
Yes.
And so we're going to kind of talk through that, like what was trends back then that maybe we wish we could carry kind of over to now today,
right?
And then what maybe has shifted that we like or we don't like, in a sense. So how should we kick this episode off?
Well, we talked as moms, as women. I think, what were some of like the pressures that maybe women our age faced then?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, let's just start there. So what are some pressures that you think like our moms and women,
And I don't know that my mom would even know, or women even knew that they were pressures then. Maybe it was just like, this is the way of life.
Right. Yes.
I feel like there was a luxury because they didn't know what other women were doing. And that is a luxury of not knowing. So then you you think you're just living a normal life.
Yep.
Like
You're just doing your
your
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
So I feel as though, and maybe this was just how I was raised or what I was surrounded by, but there was this pressure of dinner on the table. You provided for your family, like you were the house cleaner. You did the chores. Not bowed down, but you you were submissive to your husband. He was the breadwinner.
Yep.
I feel as though that timing was the picket fence and raising children to go to college. Like you didn't make it unless you went to college,
right?
And I feel like all that is shifting,
yes.
but I remember like feeling in my if we didn't go to church on Sunday and everybody could see us in church and Sunday dinners, and it was just those pressures of that women tend to, you got to make it picture perfect.
Yes.
And we're making it picture perfect in an Instagram reel, but not
behind
like
the scenes it may not be.
But then I feel like the pressures was you had to make it picture perfect in the real world, face to face,
real time. Yeah. Yes.
Right. And so I kind of actually wish that was a little more the case.
Right. Yeah.
But yet I feel like that was some of that's how you kind of got the gossip too, is you had to go to church. You had to go, to in places. I don't think that there was as much pressure in reference to living a luxury life. It was just survival.
Yeah, like keeping up with the Joneses type thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there was that comparison that you saw, unless you did. There was a little bit, I'm sure, going to church, but you only saw little snippets of that. It wasn't blaring at you every time you opened up. I mean, like us open up Instagram or Facebook and see all this. So no, that's exactly the things that I said too. The being a homemaker, and I do think that shifted a little bit in maybe our parents' generation, because like my grandmother was a homemaker and my grandfather worked in the coal mines and, worked super hard. And then, but my mom worked a lot, like, which she got married and had me a little bit later. Like, it wasn't like, she met my dad through work. And, like I remember as a kid, like, I spent a lot of time at a babysitter's house because she worked too. So I saw that homemaker side from my grandmother. And then I kind of got to see that shift of, well, my mom didn't get married right off the bat. So she had to work for herself, for herself to be able to live and do what she wanted to do and not live in her parents' basement,
Right.
So, so I kind of saw that. I saw both sides of it. And then now, so for me, I feel like I saw that, like, that was what I'm supposed to do, work. And so, but I also saw there was also that part of me that wanted to stay home and raise my kids and be home. So I feel like I kind of saw both of that, both sides of that, and the pressures that went along with that. So,
and maybe financial status, really, I'm sure the pressures or what the exposure was different for every, just like it is today, different for every. And maybe that my mom, at that particular time of my life, my mom couldn't work because she was raising a child with special needs. And so she needed to be something for him. And then she had to kind of alter her dreams and her passion. And she became a school bus driver. So that way she could, at that time, she didn't go to college. Right. And so she needed to be off in the summers. And when school was out, she needed to be off work, like completely off work, because she needed to be home for my brother. And so I think that allowed me, but the pressures now that, like, and maybe it's my world because I'm in the special needs world, the pressures that these special needs families put on themselves, and know what, like, kind of grieving what they're missing out on. I feel like that's a luxury that my mom had in the world when she was raising Nick, was that she didn't have to see what other families were doing, but it also come at a disservice sometimes. Um, she, my brother was the 11th person in the United States to ever be born with his particular disability, and so there was no Google,
Right.
there was no anybody else figuring it out, and that so she really was a trailblazer in
Mm-hmm.
that era of time. And maybe if she had access to whatever, but maybe Nick and my family wouldn't have turned out as great as we are. But like it makes you think like, man, there's real blessings
Mm-hmm.
in the things that we think is less fortunate. I don't know, and that is hard, or what we wish we would have maybe had then that we have now. It comes as real blessings, and the difference of like pressured in a different way. I don't. I'm rambling at this point. I'm down a rabbit hole, and I'm
No,
gonna get out.
no,
I'm gonna get out.
no. I get it. Like, I mean, because you think like, even though she didn't, there weren't all the advances in technology or medicines or the things that we have, but maybe that was fine. Like
Mm,
she figured it out, and so like I feel like every era, every generation has its pros and cons
mm.
and downfalls and great things about them. So, um, but what kind of pressures do we face now as moms and
Mm.
women and
Yeah. It,
I feel
okay,
like a
so
lot.
there is a lot of pressures, and I feel as though I don't know if I'm going to speak good about, like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to articulate what I mean by this. I feel as though there was a pressure to, man, and I'm one of these women too. So, like, I'm like, am I being hypocritical right now? I, we are in an era of, women empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
boss ladies, you know, kind of like do your thing, get like find your way, and I feel like there's almost too much pressure that now that we've gone through that of this women go own your way, like you don't have to have a man to be happy, and you don't, but like it's not also God's way. Like
Right,
I just
right.
I
We're meant to share our lives. We're meant to find love, be loved, love people.
right.
And I know that looks different for everybody, but yeah,
Yes.
I get what you're
So I
saying.
feel as though I was that bot, like women empowerment. I still do that and I believe in that. But at the same time, I feel like we're in this in between stage of like, I'm also trying to get back to the roots of I want Sunday dinners.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to go to the church and put my phone down and talk to people,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
stand around after church. Not that I'm like, I'll look you up on Facebook afterwards and see what you're doing for the day. But why am
Right.
I not asking that?
Right.
Right. Or I want like our intentionality is that I have 3 meals with my family a week. My mom would die if she didn't have 7 meals with us a week. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
like, and I'm just looking for 3. So I feel like there's this sense of pressure now that I'm trying to get back to the roots of how I grew up.
Right.
And maybe that is because we're now like have the emotional intelligence to be able to know what was good about
Yes. Yeah.
that time, and we want our kids to experience the good parts of what that looks like. So then I wonder what our kids will like, how the world are they going to process all of it for anyways.
And how things are, how what is going to be advanced? What's the advancements going to be like? I mean, like how where do you go? I feel like where do you go from here? You know. So, but you want like not that you wanted your family life and your way of life to be different. I mean, some people maybe wanted it or needed it to be. I
Right.
get that. But like for me, like I mean, I loved my childhood. I have great parents. I grew up,
Mm,
and I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't see or didn't know as a kid. But why did we want to go and make things completely different? Like,
mm,
I mean, I don't think I did. I wanted to have my kids and us, do the same
right.
things. But I feel like some of us have been like they want it to be. I don't know if you just want it to be your own,
Mm,
or you just want it to be completely different for one reason or another. Maybe because it wasn't so great for some people.
right.
So I understand that. But um like why do we want to like recreate the wheel, I feel like
Mm,
all the time.
mm,
And I know we have to a little bit because we have other challenges that we have to figure out that our parents didn't.
Right.
Like, the social media, the phone usage, all the technology, all the processed foods now that make it things so easy. That's another thing. I feel like so many people are trying to go back to that homesteading mentality.
Your
Chickens
sourdough making.
Listen, I'll tell you, there's something about making your own food like that, and it being without all the extra stuff. And so I don't know. Those are challenges, and I see these even younger, like 20-something-year-olds. They are like got chickens in the backyard, and they're like wanting to live out on land, and
probably because that's not how they weren't raised that way. Right. So then they're going back. It's like some generations repeat themselves, right? Like you pull back. So I look back on, speaking of that, like I hated more than anything. My mom was can sew. She grew up, they were very poor. She had six brothers and sisters. So there were 7 of them. I think that's right. So, my grandfather was a farmer and dug oil wells, and, my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, very Southern Baptist way of life. And so my grandmother made all their clothes, made their prom dresses, all of those things. So because my mom grew up to that, my mom flipped a little bit, and she wanted, we also were not very wealthy. And so she needed to make some of my clothes. And I remember hating it. Like, everybody's going to know that this is handmade. I remember buying clothes at Walmart because we couldn't, then it was Tommy Hilfiger and all of the things, Gap and stuff, and cutting out the tags so that people wouldn't know. And now our kids could care 2 shits about that.
Oh,
they want homemade, right?
Yes. Or they want cheap.
Yes.
They don't care about if it's from Shein or Walmart, which Walmart stepped up its game. So what's a whole nother issue?
These are Walmart jeans.
Right?
They're so cute.
There was a time and a day and age where I was I'm not no.
Absolutely no.
But now, that was just great. I'm glad my kids don't have to have
same
Abercrombie and stuff all the time. So
same.
But yeah,
I think it just ebb and flows. It skips and alternates generations. What maybe they didn't have, and then they want from what's previous. So I feel like we do parent out of the things that we liked or didn't like about the era in which we grew up in, and trying to.
Right.
But can we just take one moment? Neil would be proud of me actually for what I'm about to say. Music is not the same.
No.
Nowadays.
No.
That it was when we were growing up.
Neither's TV.
You're right. Cartoons.
Oh, Saturday morning cartoons.
What's the
TGIF?
Thank you, TGIF.
You sat at home on a Friday night and you watched all these shows.
And you begged your mom not to use the phone because at that time we didn't have call waiting in case somebody was to call you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that was me.
You don't want to get a busy signal because you don't know. Do you remember we got caller ID? Oh. So you did know if you missed a call. That was a big deal.
It really was. So funny story about that. I'm going down the rabbit hole for a second.
Let's go. I'm going with you.
So when answering machines, so if you are, I don't know how old you would be if you didn't know what an answer machine is. It's kind of like a voicemail, right?
Listen, I did not even think about people not knowing what an answer machine was. That, okay.
Right?
You had to explain that. Okay.
So when answering machines were a thing, so, most people now know, and I've said it 1,000 times already, but I have a brother with a disability. Nick loved when we got answering machines. And my biggest embarrassment and fears was the day that he learned all my friends and my boyfriend, I was in middle school, and my boyfriend's phone number, their house number,
their house number. There was no,
so when you're calling a house and leaving anybody can listen to that answering machine, right? And he would call my boyfriends and be like, "What are you doing?" And leave the craziest messages. Call me back. Amanda loves you. I was the mostly embarrassing things that could happen. Anyways, those are the things. He's He still does that to this day.
But you're the only one that hears it. Like,
yeah. Well,
their whole family hearing it.
Well, usually when he like finds out a friend's number, I don't know how he does that because if we're hanging out the lake or whatever, and he'd be like, "What's your number?" They're gonna freely give him, not realizing what is about to take place.
What's about to happen. Yeah.
And his thing is like these group text messages where he's going to tell you about the weather or like get in your basement. There's bad storms coming. And he's just watching the Weather Channel and the bad storms in like Texas. Yeah. But you're going to know that you need to get in the basement because he loves storms. Anyways, I'm down a rabbit hole, but answering machines was a thing. It was my biggest embarrassment in the 90s. I'm glad we have cell phones now, but I got us way off topic.
But that, I mean, things like that we just don't, that are not the same. And kids, that sound like my parents these days. I don't know what it's like. But that's something I said about what I wish we could bring back from the 90s. So music,
yes,
TV shows are not the same. I said the cost of living. That's funny. But I mean, and I know our parents probably thought, man, this is higher. Like our grandparents thought, oh my gosh. But can you imagine, like, if my grandmother saw the cost of things, right, she would roll over. I mean, from when, even the last few years of her life, like, how much things have gone up.
Well, and I'm going to geek out for a second because I just recently, it's really top of mind for me. I just recently went and heard the speaker talk about, he's in the financial world, but we were looking at the state of economy, right? And like he was comparing no one's world, but like a national level. So do you know, like when we, like in prior to us, like in our parents, the average age of someone to buy their first home, the average age, I think, don't quote me on this if you heard the same message I heard, like might not get it exactly right, but the average age I want to say was like 24 to buy your first home. Actually, that's about close to when Justin and I bought our first home, maybe a little bit earlier, actually. Yeah. Do you know what now, and think about this for our kids, do you know what the average age to someone buying their first home now is? What is the average age? What would you guess?
I mean, I don't know.
38 years old is the average national age for someone to buy their first home.
So they're just renting?
Because they can't afford there's like no affordable housing or like the down payment, and it is mind-blowing because, and what I found also to be interesting, because it kind of went hand in hand, the wrong word, the because there's this sense of empowerment, right? We're gone back then at 18 you were getting married. I think my parents married maybe when they were 17 years old. Then you got married early so you can get out of your parents' house because you never lived together. You didn't live together, right? Like that was not something that you did prior to marriage.
You could afford to go back and get your own place before,
Right? So you forced to kind of marry young. Yeah. You had kids young. You raised a family, right? Then there was like this big push. I feel like when we were kind of growing up, you go to college, you get an education, you get your first job, then you get married and all the things. So what has happened is the amount of people getting married early is delayed, and most people can't afford their home without two people income. Right. Makes sense. Yeah. And so it's all like parallel. Yes. Yeah. So, and then what they're saying, see, I'm geeking out a little bit, but even now what they're saying is like fast forward, because that somebody can't afford a home and they're delaying getting married, right? And they're not getting in their first home until they're 38. They're having kids later. So we're going to go through this period of there's no kids being born, not at the fast rates that kids were being born then. Right. So people are waiting longer. And so we're going to kind of see after our kids, like when our kids are our age, there's not going to be a lot of children, right?
Right.
Because that, anyways.
Or, I see that. Yeah.
There's like a generation I'm sure I'm missing in there somehow.
Right. There's going to be a lack in a generation. There's going to be a smaller amount of a certain generation.
So I geeked out a little bit because you said cost of living, but then that kind of like spiraled into, it can change the way you live and change, like, yes, cost of living, but cost of living determines a lot of how people live.
Right.
And well, it does, right? And so therefore it can shape how you live, your community that you live in, your state, and then it's just like this big domino effect.
When you have kids, like all the things, really.
Makes the world go around.
It does. But man, I don't know. That's crazy.
I went off on a tangent.
Wrap my brain around all that. So what's something else you would bring back from the 90s?
Ooh, something else I'd bring back from the 90s besides music and TV. I don't know.
Well, something you said earlier, which is kind of what I had said, was like the family gatherings, more extended family gatherings.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we used to have every Sunday. So my grandmother, there were like 10 of them, and every Sunday, and this was before travel sports dominated the world.
Gosh.
So
that's it. That's what I would. I know where you're going.
Yeah. So we every Sunday, I had a couple of uncles that never got married, and so they just kind of lived together in like their old family house, like their parents' house. But we would all go every Sunday, and it was my grandparents, my grandmother, her siblings, all my cousins, so their kids. Then so that was my mom's generation, and then my generation, my cousins, we were like third cousins, but we all grew up together, like we were first cousins.
Yeah, same.
And most everybody came and there would be in this tiny house 20 or 30 of us every. It was like a family reunion. Every Sunday. And they were gonna cook. It was like
feeding the army, 100%.
It was like Thanksgiving and Christmas
every Sunday. Same.
And we just went, and the simplicity of it, and like if my parents couldn't go, I would go with my grandmother. Like my grandmother was going come hell or high water. Like she was gonna go, but she would also every Friday she would go. Her and her sisters would go. One of her sisters was a hairdresser and had it in her basement. So they would. My grandmother never got her license, so my grandfather drove her everywhere. My grandfather would drive her to her sister's house. They would go to the other sister's house and get their hair did. That bouffant, perm, the blue, gray, white. And then then Sunday, then they would go to the uncle's house, help prepare some of the things, and then everybody came Sunday, and we all gathered, and we were there all day.
I'm going to ask.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Yes, I remember it very well. My question to you is, did y'all have a kids table and an adult table when you went to eat?
Well, I'm telling you right now, the house was not big enough. The house had one dining room table. I don't know where we ate.
Oh.
I think everybody just sat and with their food in their lap everywhere.
That's how we, as like our cousins, like kept up. Like when you made it to the adult, like the dining room table. When you made it to the adult table, then that's when you didn't want to sit at the kid table anymore, and you really cared about the adult conversations. That's when you knew you were growing. Yeah, when you were growing up.
Yes.
You were growing up when you were eating at the adult table on Sunday dinner.
Yeah. I mean, I would bring that back.
Oh, 100%.
Like we just don't have a big, of course, like our parents and even my grandmother only had 2 kids, so like that big family for most of us. I know a lot of Catholic families still have a big family, but it just dwindled, and then I mean,
yeah, it's far few. Well, you said something, and now I know what I would bring back because you triggered it, and I think this is why it can't happen, because sports then. Now I practiced year round, but softball was not a year round. No sport. Let me just emphasize.
No.
You could play multiple sports because nothing was year round. But then now you have to almost pick one sport. It's year round and you're playing all the time. If you're not playing, you're behind.
Yeah.
And so and I'm one of these like I don't like it, but yet I'm not putting my foot down because I don't want my kid to get behind. If we all would just make a pact and be like, all right, we're going to stop it right now.
Yeah, I know.
But then somebody's not, and then we're like, oh, well, we got to.
Yeah.
But I think that's what also social media did for our kids and for us as in general, is because back when, there was a lot of rec sports and it was still cool to play rec sports.
Yeah.
You didn't have this aspiration. I mean, it was very far and few between that you thought you could make it, like to go to the NBA or, to play pro ball. But then what started to kind of shift is I feel like we saw more and more of how you could do that through social media. Like they're watching highlight reels, the how-to, how to train, how to be better. And so because we have that at our fingertips, we're like almost fiends for it. And we're trying to make our kids successful. Whereas there was an emphasis when I was growing up, like, you better get a college education. That's the only way you're going to make it. You better. And I feel like there's not that, it's different pressure.
Yeah.
And I would bring back the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was before I really had kids and we were young newlyweds, but my like nephews were, they played and of course we weren't there yet, so we didn't understand it. We weren't in that world as kids. I mean, I do remember a couple of friends playing like travel softball or whatever, but it wasn't nearly what it is now.
Today.
But like we would try to do like a family gathering at my parents' house, and they wouldn't be able to come because they were gone every weekend. And I didn't get, I got it. I understood they played, but I didn't get it. I didn't really get it. I didn't really get it and then we started our kids earlier than what we ever said we were going to, and so we've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Well, and it consumes, but then you feel like you can't, there's not like a Dow switch to be able to turn it back. And I'm going to be, so it's funny. My son in real time right now is, fishing. And I'm like, I wish that we just had a bunch of fishermen, because, they can't have people out there watching them. I have no idea whether he's caught a fish right now or not. I can't cheer him on. It's really a solo sport, kind of. And so it's funny because if I compare that to basketball, Landon caught a fish, but it wasn't big enough. It would be like somebody in basketball doing a layup and be like, that's not going to count. That wasn't good enough. Only 3-pointers are going to count, right?
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, everybody should just be a fisherman. Like, sometimes it's going to count, sometimes not,
Yeah, it can't be super competitive there. Like overly competitive, or you would not be happy.
I bet if a pro fisherman was listening to this right now, he would crawl out of his skin, thinking about what I just said. It's not that pressure. It's not that big of a deal.
I'm sure there are pressures and they're different, but why are we putting ourselves through this? So it makes me wonder, because our kids are experiencing this. When they have kids, is it going to dwindle? When's the travel stuff going to dwindle down? Because they're going to go, I spent every weekend of my childhood in a gym or on a baseball field or softball field or volleyball court or whatever it is on the lake. I mean, but I feel like if you're fishing, like I don't know.
There's some quality time spent right there.
Yeah, it's some peaceful.
Yeah.
It said I go in these same gyms with thousands of people.
Overstimulating.
Oh my gosh! And there's whistles blowing everywhere. I don't know how.
Especially if Sharon Borman, my mother, is sitting behind you. But so what's funny is that, how earlier I said the national average age of a first-time home buyer right now is 38. I think they will be forced, our children and the ones that right now are living, that just graduated college, right, that are trying to find an affordable home or trying to make a living. I think it will have to change. They won't be able to afford it. They won't be able to afford to even travel. Like, we put down a lot of money to travel, and we're traveling locally a lot of times, right? But it costs money, and so I feel as though it's gonna have to dial back because other things are not affordable and the priorities are going to have to shift. Whereas we were able to, I couldn't imagine just 4 or 5 years ago just being able to buy my first home. I've now, and this was interesting too, that the data showed that you were 62, the national average was 62 before you bought your, like, you were buying a second upgrade in your home or whatever now. But like I'm in my third home.
Yeah, same.
That's not going to happen for our kids. And so I think naturally it would impact. It's going to have to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that excites me, but it also makes me sad too at the same time. Yeah. Because we were, well, I don't know about you, but luckily my loan got forgiven. But like most people are going out of college and with major loans or stuff. And that's then started a shift and people didn't go to college because it was not affordable. So like it's just it trends circle back and then it changes and shifts and then now AI and all the things. So
but I mean I like some of the things coming back and
I do. What name? So as we kind of I always say like wrap and put a bow on it. Like what are the things that you love about the generation that we're living in and raising kids right now? Like what do you love about it?
Well, I think going back to the travel sports, it does. You do make some friendships, and you are doing it with like-minded people. And so, and your kids get to, like my kids have gotten to, especially Riley. Jax isn't there yet because he's still mainly playing with kids he knows.
Right.
But with her being on these other teams, like she's gotten to meet a lot of people she never would have met before.
So
friends that she has now that we've met through that. So, that's the upside to it.
It is.
So
I think so. Even though that we say social media is bad, or like this compare and compete, all the mentalities, there's a lot of things bad, but there's a lot of good. And I would say right now is the ability to connect further than your circle.
Right. Yes.
There's anything is there's an opportunity to connect to somebody all over the world.
Right.
And I'll even use like I was telling you earlier that my brother was 11. My mom didn't have anybody. She didn't have community. She was doing it by herself. Now there is a Facebook community because my brother's disability is very rare that I just now found, and there's like 500. So there's 500 individuals, that are in there, maybe a little bit more. So, but my brother's the oldest.
Oh, wow.
Of all these people that have his disability. Yeah. So now we're able to connect. Like I connected to this woman in Africa that was asking me questions like, hey, I'm trained. I'm like, yes, my brother has all, like, this is what you to prepare for, right? That I love that part of what we're able to, and I can ask ChatGPT, how do you, like, how do you plan for this trip or how, whatever it may be. But I just
all the information at our fingertips that we need.
I think it makes us better, and more efficient, informed, and connected. And I know that they say that it's a lack of connection because we're always on our phone and we're never looking up. And I do agree with that. But as long as we could look up for the connections we've made through the social media, or
keeping up with people like from high school and family members now that we don't see anymore because we're doing travel sports.
Right.
I can at least keep up with them and see their kids growing. If I don't get to see them in real life, I at least can see it through social media. So there are some good things.
Yeah. Well, I would love to go back to the 90s just to go to a field party, and with the tailgate down.
Yep.
I just
outside by a fire.
Yeah, watching the stars.
I mean, and you literally, like, nobody had a phone. I mean, can you imagine now? The kids would go do that, but they'd all be like this.
Yeah, the whole field would be lit up just through the lights of the phone.
The lights of their phone. I know, but I mean, we all just talked and laughed, and
yeah,
some made questionable decisions, but
Not at all.
Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But, you were all together, and I don't know.
We turned out good.
There are worse things kids could have been doing in our.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
What's our next episode? I think we're going to talk about health a little bit, maybe.
We are going to talk about when the scale lies, but the genes don't.
Oh, I know that's going to connect with a lot of people.
Yeah, that one's hitting hard. But.
All right, guys. Until next time, we will see y'all. All right, that's it for today's meeting of the Margarita Book Club.
Thanks for sitting with us and spilling the real for a little while.
If today's conversation sounded like a lot of your own thoughts, you're definitely not alone.
Follow us on social media at Spill the Real.
And come back next week for another round of Real Talk. Same book club, no reading required.